Hey everyone, we're going to start. I'm going to announce the show now and tell you a little bit about what we're doing. You can keep eating, but I just want to let you know we're recording now. The Groton channel's here recording, and so if you don't want to participate, just keep your back to the camera. So I'm Joyce Strong, and I'm a nurse, an educator, and a coach, and my business or my practice is called Total Well Coach. And I came up with the idea to found the Confident Women Consortium. And the Confident Women Consortium is a place where we get together just to help create confidence, build confidence with community and celebration. So it's as simple as that. We're looking for people like Shawna Pelton, who's our speaker today, and to come and speak for us and speak for the consortium to help. And it's not just men, not just women, it's men and women. So anybody who wants to participate in creating confidence, and certainly men play a big part in creating confidence with women. So that's what this is about. We meet about once a month. We have the speakers from our next event are sitting here, Alan and Kevin from Hyperconscious Podcast. Howdy. We have speakers from previous event. We've got Sherry Keating here. And who else? Anybody else here has spoken? Maybe Mary Jo will be speaking. I think she's a future speaker. And, of course, Shawna Pelton. So I met Shawna in some connection through other coaches in our community. And you can find out about her at shawnapelton.com. I think the title you go by is Transformational Coach. Yeah. Maybe a lot of different titles. But she definitely will change your life. And I can promise you tonight, your life will be changed after you've spent time with this group and with this woman. So with that.
Oh, thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Awesome. I just wanted to, before we get into the topic, a couple of things that I wanted to say. First, acknowledge that everybody is here at the Confident Women Consortium to come together to share together, to grow together, to learn together, to be part of a community, and I really value that. I think that's beautiful. And so I just want to acknowledge you for showing up and for being here. I also wanted to acknowledge Joyce because she is amazing at bringing people together, isn't she? Yeah. So I just wanted to acknowledge Joyce for everything she does. Yeah, for this community. And I think it takes, for the world that we live in, we need more people like that to stand in their place of power, to live in alignment with what their natural gifts and talents are. So I do appreciate that. I have my personal photographer and my bestie, Nicole O'Neill Photography, with us. And if, just like Joyce said, if you don't want your photo, or if you don't want yourself in any of these photos, you can privately just kind of like let her know so that you don't get into any of the pictures. So with that said, I am excited to be here with you tonight and to share this topic, the 3 simple steps for profound personal transformation. And quick show of hands before we dive in. How many people have said at some time in their lives to themselves, I want to do something meaningful with my life? Show of hands. Awesome. Now keep them raised if you feel like you are actively in alignment with that desire. Yay, we have some masters. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. So do you believe that we do have the power to bring peace and purpose into our lives, even in uncertain times like we're living in right now? Yeah, so great. I'm in the right place then. So I'm really happy to be sharing this topic and what I have learned over the past 20 years of being in service for people and helping them get unstuck and creating an extraordinary life by design. And it's so much more than this. And I have about an hour maybe to change your world. No pressure. So I'm going to hop right in. Before we actually get into the topic, I find that it's always important to get in sync. Now, I'm not talking about the boy band from the 90s. I am referring to how important it is for us to kind of be on the same page and understand what we're here for. So this is what you can expect. My intentions to share this with you is to be of service. It's to help provide you with the type of information that leads to transformation. It's not just like, oh, this is more stuff for your head. It's about, all right, how can I embody this? That's what's really important to me. And also to help you find some clarity around whatever current challenges that you're faced with and feel excited about what's to come. That's my intention with why I'm here. And I'm going to be sharing, as I mentioned, it's a content-rich course, talk, and it's based off of my experience. And so you're going to learn the 3 steps for creating positive change. Unpacking your challenges. This is where we begin. Discovering what your heart wants and desires, and you can expose any of the blind spots, right? These are the things that keep you stuck, but they're hidden from your conscious awareness. And then also I'm going to teach you how to rise above that so you can embody excellence and experience a life of freedom of your authentic self. And so I'm going to actually share with you one of my proven techniques. It'll be experiential. So I'll walk you through what I call the quantum shift process so that you know what you can do if you ever feel triggered, right? And you know what I mean by triggered, right? Does everyone understand trigger? Yeah, it's like when you get like that challenge where you just feel that visceral reaction and it's like that out of control feeling. And then I'm going to provide you with a strategic framework so that you can achieve actual results. Sound good? Yeah. All right, great. And also, am I clear? Is everybody able to hear me okay? Good. Now, it's funny because usually I'm like all talky like this and I want to walk around, but then I'm realizing like I'm in front of the screen, light goes in my eye, and look, I've got a mic and I'm making all kinds of noises. So it's going to be really challenging for me to be very like stationary. The other thing about what I am here teaching is that it's, you know, I'm making a bold statement. That's not lost on me. Talking about profound change, you know, and I am acutely aware that many of us have the type of challenges that seem like it couldn't possibly be so simple, 3 simple things. So I want to share with you how I got here, right? My professional training and experience. And you know what, in truth, I'm not going to get into every single one of these things, but I kind of want to show you quickly an overview of all the things that I have been studying over the past 20 years. And what's interesting is we do have a guest in the audience who, is it okay, Sandy, if I say this? My original career started as an esthetician, which is skincare. And I went to school at a famous place, Catherine Hines, and this woman who's here with us, Sandy, tonight, she was a classmate of mine, but I haven't seen her since 2000. And she showed up, and as soon as she walked in, I was like, I know you. We went to school together, like instant connection, and it brought me back. And I think it's really funny. I don't believe in coincidences, because that experience opened up my mind to things that I never knew existed. And that is what sent me off this path of where I am today. So I just love that there's this complete circle, and I'm curious to learn more about, you know, what we can talk more later offline. So I actually have studied practical neuroscience for transformation. I have been studying the neuroscience of change for 2 years. I am trained in the rapid trauma relief for PTSD. I actually have a background in herbalism and holistic nutrition. Energy medicine was where I was introduced to energy medicine at the school for aesthetics. One of the teachers was just a Reiki practitioner, and I was like, what's going on? She was doing Reiki on a student, and I was so judgy. It was judgy. And I looked at it like, what is that? And then it changed my life. So energy healing led me to the esoteric psychology of the soul, which is essentially understanding the true nature of our being. Forgiveness healing, also a huge area of change for me, came when I understood the importance of forgiveness and how to. Comprehensive kinesiology is understanding how our body responds to all things. Biontology is the nature of reality, being light. So you can see, 20 years of nonstop. Spiritual healing, I'm a teacher and ritual master in the mystery schools. I've studied mind-body medicine, hypnotherapy, meditation, conversational intelligence, and there's more because this was about 2 years ago when I created this slide. And here's the thing, this is why I said it's not about like all these things that I do. I just wanted to point this out because I have been just following my joy all throughout my life. Right? And just kind of going to one thing and then the other, and I didn't really know why. I just kind of felt like, well, first my real why was I was healing my life. I had to do my own healing, so I was led in these directions. But I remember at one point I thought, what's this all about? Why am I doing all of these crazy things that when you look at it from this level, you're like, why? How do they all match? And then probably in the past couple years, it really started to click. I started to see the reason behind it all. It became clear to me, it was revealed to me how this journey and my pursuit led to my fulfilling my life and my passion for being here. And this was my main reason. This is my son, Owen, a few years ago, many years ago, when he graduated high school. You know, when my son was a little boy, his father died from addictions. And I was left in that place of, what am I going to do with myself? I mean, I was a 20-year-old single mom. I was struggling to survive. I was chronically ill in every single way that you can imagine. I was mentally unwell, I was emotionally unstable, and I was always sick and always in the hospital for something. And it was a result of not taking care of myself and not understanding how to deal with my challenges. And I looked at my son one day and I said, he was about 3, and I remember after his son died and his dad died, and I was like, it's inevitable. He's gonna have challenges, right? He is going to model after his caregivers on how to navigate the terrain of challenges. It was this surreal moment and a realization that I knew in that moment I had to be a better example than what I was providing him with. So he was my real reason why I started my journey, not just because I was an absolute mess and couldn't handle it anymore, but because I was motivated to show him. I wanted to give him a good life. So he was my first motivation. And then after, you know, he left the nest, I realized that as I just showed you all the things that I kept doing, I realized that I have something more to give. And I am on a mission to help people self-actualize. Because I believe, truly, within my heart, I believe that when people know themselves, when people are really grounded and confident in themselves, the world will know peace. I do believe this. So that is my mission and my reason why, and it's my motivation, to help people overcome personal challenges and reinvent themselves after things like loss, addictions, any career or relationship or health crises. Helping people develop a positive mindset through spiritual, emotional, and even conversational intelligence. These are skills that we can develop. I also teach people how to self-regulate first, because we need to know how to deal with our internal feelings, our internal world, and then co-regulate, because we now need to know how to get along with others in the world, right? But it starts with the self. It's all about bringing harmony into this world. And then ultimately, when you feel in that place, you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm stable, I know how to co-regulate, I want to find out what my purpose is and unleash that out into the world. So you can see how this really lights me up. I hope that it lights you up because it's really exciting to me to be able to support people this way. But then there's another reason why I am even more passionate about this, and it's because of what we are going through in our world today. And it's, I think, of course, it's like every generation has that thing where it's like, oh, this is our big challenge. We are faced with crises on a global level, socioeconomic crises, environmental crises. There's just challenges all around the world. And I have new extended family. This is my grandbaby. Isn't he so cute? That's Owen and my son Owen and his love Emma and their baby Owen, who live in Florida. They're coming to see me tomorrow. I'm so excited. But I thought, oh my God, I want my son and his family to have a better world. And that really was what motivated me to just keep going through the really difficult times. Because, you know, my difficult times didn't end with my first journey of healing and discovery. And so one of the things that I realized was, well, first of all, who's with me? Who wants to make this world a better place? Yeah. Great. I'm so happy. Now, when I was doing my real deep healing work as in service, working as a holistic healer, I was working with people who had very serious, hard-to-treat conditions, terminal illness, cancer, Lyme disease. People would come to me because I was always their last hope. And I took that very serious, you know? I mean, if people came to me and they're like, I don't know where else to turn, I had to show up, you know? Like, this is game time, right? It's on. And I was wondering, like, what is this, like, secret sauce? Why are some people having this profound change while other people either quit before they see results, or at least quit me? Hopefully they had results, or just didn't heal. What was that about? So I decided I had to go in search and understand that, to better understand that, because, you know, it was my honor and obligation to help the people who were entrusting me with their care. And so what I did was I kind of reversed, not only did I do the research on what's not popular, because I think sometimes we get distracted by mainstream ideas, and it can kind of cloud us from seeing deeper into root causes or understanding things from a different perspective. And so I find obscure knowledge. I do my research in a way that perhaps isn't normal or typical, but that's helped me really in my work that I'm doing. And so anyway, I had to like also reverse engineer my own journey. And I thought, well, what did I do that really helped me to get out of that difficult time? And so, you know, it was really kind of understanding all the stages that we are going through on our journey in life. And so with that said, I kind of was thinking it's easy to kind of fall into the belief system that this is as good as it's going to get, right? Nothing's going to change. Or in certain situations, people would come to me and they would say, you know, I only have, you know, a couple months to live, kind of thing. And that may or may not be true, but there is, I think, something that happens inside of us when we decide that we're going to change the statistics, or not be a statistic, and change our own life. And so I'm going to share with you a few of the simple things to look at and to understand what we need to know in order to change what it is that bothers us the most in our life. So the first thing that we're going to do, oh, and by the way, what I did was I left these packets on the table, and on the back of the packet, it's basically notes. You can take notes. That's what I left the blank side back on the back for. And the things that I left you with are more about like what I do versus what we're talking about. So if you have anything that stands out as something important for you, take note on that. And at the end, I'm going to have Q&A, so I'll help answer any questions if there's anything that stands out to you as something important. So the very first thing we need to do is unpack. We need to look at what we have, right? And here's the thing: transformation and healing is a process of becoming. It's not a process of getting something, and I want that to kind of like just that difference to be made here. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to get wealthy. I'm going to get love. No, we are becoming the very thing that we think we need outside of us. That's what this is about. Oh, you picking up what I'm putting down? Yes. All right, great. So we have to look at what part of our life needs the most attention right now. So just kind of reflect on this, would you? Or is it relationships that are pressing, self-care, finances, mindset, life purpose, or is there something else? And what you can think about is where you're most in pain. Where do you feel stuck in life? Where do you feel unsettled or blocked? All right, so just take a moment to really reflect on your life. I'm not going to ask people to tell me to publicly disclose their secrets. It's just being clear. And then once you are clear where what's blocking you, then you want to ask yourself, what does my heart desire, right? How do I want to experience my life? What are my lifelong dreams? Do I have goals? Do I have aspirations? So here's the thing that I want to stress. Oh, thank you, Joyce. I brought paper, but I didn't bring pens. The thing I want to stress here is that a desire is different from a want. When we want something, it's usually like, I have a need that is unmet and I want to be filled, right? It's usually like a little kid wanting to stay up late or wanting candy instead of dinner, right? We all have wants. But our desires are actually, if you break it down, desire of the sire. They are from a higher position. This is coming through you, from you, wanting more from life, okay? So if you have a heartfelt desire, I want you to know there is a way to not only achieve that, but it is for you, okay? And that the obstacles that you think are preventing you from fulfilling that desire are in fact, and I will be bold in saying this, the very experiences you need in order to have the ultimate experience of the outcome you truly desire. So they're not in your way to prevent you from having that. They are there for you to develop the muscle to become the thing that you want to be, that being, that state of being that you want, right? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great. And so, yeah, what's standing in our way? There's so many things that we don't see. The conscious mind, here's the funny thing. We only really know about 10%, and I think that's being kind of generous, of really what's on our minds and what we're conscious of experiencing. And one of the things that most people don't realize is that for every 4 to 7 conscious thoughts that you're having, there is 100,000 processing in that very moment, subconsciously. You are a big, huge, storage center for subconscious thoughts, all right? So you might have this desire for more, but unconsciously and underneath the surface, there is something else that is desiring your energy or taking your energy from you fulfilling your desires. And we're going to look at what those are next. But here's something important to understand. Even though... What's that?
This is why we don't sleep at night.
This is what keeps us up at night. Exactly. And I want you to understand that even if life is challenging, we are not broken. right? Where in truth, every experience, the dark and the light, is all part of one big life experience. We are literally magnificent beings. We are life experiencing itself. And if I had enough time, which I don't, I would talk about how there is truly only one of us here. And the quantum science tells us that we are all one. So that, I'm going to throw that out there, see if that lands with you, let that digest a little bit. But yes, we're not broken, and there's so much more than meets the eye. So we're going to look at these blind spots. What is it that's keeping us from fulfilling our desires? And did anyone already guess this? Was anyone like, oh yeah, obviously, subconscious programming. Programming, just like your computer has programs, right? And I'm not a computer tech, so pardon my language not being accurate, but you know, we have these programs in the computer that are supposed to work for our functioning, the computer's function. But if there's a virus in the program, then it's not going to work right, and we're going to have problems and glitches. In the same way, we have a conditioned way of thinking, feeling, believing, behaving towards what I call the cosmos. What's the cosmos? The cosmos is just my short way of saying everything. Your circumstances in life, other people, yourself, your memories, the opportunities that you have, and even how you relate towards your concept of God, source, higher self, the universe, whatever that is to you, whatever resonates with you. And so the subconscious programming was there in place before you came into this world. Okay? And so you were born into an environment that already had these distortions and thought viruses and ways of seeing and ways of being that perhaps weren't natural to you, but you had to go through, you had to learn. The people that you came into, whether it's your parents or caregivers, your siblings, your community that you live in, went to school in, all of these contributed to your programs. And then, of course, then there's lineage-based programs. There's stuff that happened in your far-off, distant ancestors that to this day are still affecting your lineage. And actually, the science is showing this to be true. There's ancient teachings that say this, that say that for every decision we make, we must consider the impact it has on the next 7 generations. All right, that's a big responsibility. For every decision we make, we must consider the impact it has on the next 7 generations. And that's the Iroquois Confederacy. It's the peace treaty that the natives made, which is do no harm, apparently. Anyway, so the science now shows that, in fact, our lineage, where we came into, memories are getting passed on to us. And they're able to determine that, you know, in fact, we are picking up like the fears. Like if anyone's ever like been, why am I so afraid of being in tight spaces? I'm afraid of like being on an elevator. I have anxiety, but I don't have any reason why. Well, what if someone in your lineage had an accident on an elevator, or was suffocated and had an issue or an injury or trauma? That's the kind of thing that gets passed on to us. So if we're like uncertain of like, why do I have this glitch? Why do I keep doing this thing that I'm doing? It's so not me. I didn't have that trauma. Then that could be the reason why. Again, I wish I had all night to talk about all these things, and I do talk about it in all my other programs. So I'm going to get into the important stuff, go deeper into the more important stuff. And so essentially what happens is this. When we have these subconscious programs that say, I'm not safe, the situation, the cosmos, is a threat. It's a threat to my way of seeing the world. It's a threat to the way that I live my life. It's a threat to my safety and survival. It's a threat to my relationship. It's a threat to my health. Whatever the threat is, there is a reaction. All right, so someone who feels threatened is in what's called the primitive brain. You know, this is actually back here, the amygdala, which is two little almond-sized things that are on the back of your head. When you are triggered by fear and in threat mode, then you are shutting down. What happens is this: cortisol gets released. You shut down your energy centers, so you're not going to connect to what is a perceived threat. Now, this isn't happening consciously. Remember the picture of the conscious and subconscious mind? This is often happening unconsciously. We don't even see ourselves. And so we are resistant to new people. We are resistant to new information. We're resistant to change because of this threat response. Now, it was placed there because our ancestors, you know, maybe had to run from lions and tigers and bears. But we don't have that same threat, but we have the same memory of that threat. And also they say that, you know, back in the day when we really, I mean, we all need community, I believe in that, but like we actually needed community for survival. Like people had to hunt, people had to garden, people had to raise children all together as a community. And if you were ousted from that community because you acted in a way that was not like the people in your environment, if you looked different, if you sounded different, you didn't fit in, you were rejected. And that ultimately meant you die because you don't have the community for survival back in the time where it was essential. So you can see how these programs really kind of stop us from doing anything that looks different from the people in our environment, right? So it's like, I can't be different. I have to be this way that I am because I need to fit in order to get love, in order to have attention, in order to, you know, survive. So resistance is what happens from this experience here. Resistance in the body is felt like tension. This is the chronic fight or flight response. This is the chronic stress response. Now, the opposite is this prefrontal cortex. Do you know the prefrontal cortex actually just came on board about 200,000 years ago? I think the term is anatomically correct modern humans. I don't know. Does anyone know that? Is that the right way to say it? Have any like specialists in the house that know that? So anatomically correct modern humans 200,000 years ago had the very same functions. Now here's the difference. We went from being primitive and protective to being creative, compassionate, and cooperative. And that hasn't changed. If anything, it's only expanded. And when people are in this part of their brain, they release oxytocin. And it's not just they're only in this brain. Here's the interesting thing. They have more capacity. The entire brain is used because we want to be sharp and think and access places within our being and be on point, right? So anyway, this is considered your genius zone. So everybody has a genius in them. You don't have to know how to do math like Albert Einstein to be considered a genius, because I certainly would not fall in that category. But I have my own style and my own genius, and so do you. So this is where you access your genius. So have you ever been in a conversation with someone where you just don't feel that connection and you're like, why do I feel stupid? Like I can't say the right words. Like I'm not myself in their presence. Why am I acting this way? I'm so weird right now, and this is not my best self, right? Everyone's had an experience similar to kind of like that. So this is why, because there's a part of you who's being protective, and if you're being protective, you can't access your creative center. So there is a secret to activating oxytocin. And was it you that I was talking about earlier with the hugs? Yeah. Did I give you a hug earlier? And I said, when we hug for 20 seconds, we activate oxytocin. And so that's good for your body. So not only does it help you access your creative zone, but it helps your physical body heal as well. So that's pretty cool. So when we are in this place, we are more trusting to new things and people. We're more trusting of ourselves. We're more confident. It's like, hey, look, I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I trust that I'll figure out how to get over my mistakes and how to learn from my mistakes. I'm more open to engage people. I'm more open to new ideas in different cultures. But for someone who's in resistance, distrusts other people, right? They see reality as a threat. They resist new information. They shut down to new ideas. And actually, if I can be, I suppose, I want to say that this is the actual problem of our world right now, because we are afraid of other people. That's why we want to protect ourselves from the unknown of other people. But then, and the truth is, there's so many more young ones that are just like this, open to see the value in changing reality through opening up. So resistance is why we're out of sync. We are shut down, and there's said to be 5 primary types of resistance, and they also go with the elements. There's 5 elements. Even though you see 4, you are the 5th element in this ether. So the primary resistant types are judging. So as I talk about this, I want you to check in with yourself. What do you feel like you might be kind of triggered into? When you get triggered, how do you usually act? So judging is usually critical in your head, right? Where it's like, I know this is my it's not my proud parts, but when I'm not balanced, when I'm out of sync, I'm critical of myself. I will like ruminate over the things that are happening, and I will start judging all the things that I did wrong. I'm very critical of myself, right? And might even be like, you know, judgy of other people. I'm not proud of it, and it's certainly not every day that I do this, but it happens. The other thing that we can do is blame, where it's always something else, right? We blame time. I can't do that, I have no time. Like, time did that to you, right? Let's call it what it is. You didn't manage your time, right? Or it's someone else's fault. Here's a funny one. Today, I was on my way here, and I wanted to bring a camera and a camera stand for recording some content. And usually, this is really funny, actually. Usually, my boyfriend is so like, he's such like a traditional gentleman type guy, and he'll carry all my stuff out to my car. And today, I was in such a rush, and he didn't do it. So I was on my way, and I went, oh no, I didn't bring my camera. And I was like, it's because Tom didn't bring it out for me. And then I laughed hysterically. I was like, look at that. I didn't even own my stuff. It's Tom's fault that he didn't bring my camera out for me. So yeah, that happened. We're needy. Some people are, this is what they gravitate towards. It's like, I need people to do it for me. I can't do this for myself. I don't know how to do this. Can you do this? Right? Avoid. I actually have been in polling people. This is the most common, I would say, about 60% of the people gravitate to avoid. This is procrastination at its finest, right? Where it's putting off what we really need to do. We're not focused on what we have to do because we're so busy with doing for other people, or doing things that are not as important as our desires, and we don't have the energy, and we don't have the resources like money and time to do what we really should. Well, I shouldn't should on you, so I'll take that back. But we don't have the resources at the end of the day because we spend them avoiding our real work. And then confusion is like, you can be taught the process, like I'm giving you steps today, and then say, I don't get it. I don't get it, but I don't understand. So, who here, I know everybody has a little bit of everything in them, but who gravitates towards judgy primarily? Yeah. And then who's blame primarily? Okay. Oh, it's like a shy. That was a maybe. It might be. You judgy?
Yeah,
You're judging? I'm judging you. Needy. Okay. Avoid. Look at that. See? It's the big thing. Confusion. Confusion. Okay. Thank you for your honesty, right? So you can see you're not alone. I'm not alone. This is why I do it, because I want everyone else to be with me in pain with my judginess. So this is essentially what we are looking at that stops us from moving through our, like, what do we have to do next to kind of create the desired outcome that we want. So I'm going to show you what resistance looks like as a pattern, okay? So imagine this trigger is the cosmos, okay? Remember, a circumstance, something that happens, maybe this thing happens all the time, or it's this random trauma or drama or event, okay? So whatever your go-to, bless you, go-to behavior is of resistance, and that is a feeling quality in the body. Because here's the thing, your resistance has a vibration, your body picks it up, and it will respond with tension, right? It'll store somewhere in the body as tension. And it has an emotional quality as well. So for example, if it's judgy, I know, Annie, I'll just speak for my familiar parts. Judginess comes with some anger, right? So that's an emotion, and it feels awful in my heart to be there. Then what happens is it triggers the belief systems, the BS, the stories we tell ourselves or about life or about whatever we're faced with. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. I'm unsafe. Nothing's going to change. All of these stories. There's not enough time, energy, money. You get the picture, right? So from this, now I just want to kind of point out, this part is all our inner world. This is what's happening internally, but remember, it's happening on the unconscious level for the most part. Usually, what people are aware of is like the discomfort in their body, if anything. That's typical. I do know some people who don't feel in their body, and they kind of they're in that frozen state, and what they see is how dead their life is, meaning no joy in their life. So these are some things to pay attention to as signs telling you what you're holding on to. Oh no, thank God that didn't ruin anything, because I wouldn't have known what to do, right? So then when we, I know, it's the technology did it. The tech guy did that. So then when we have this inner way of being, of course we're going to act a certain way. By the way, this is that fight or flight response. Remember I said the cortisol pumping through your veins? It's in direct relation to what you're feeling. So judgy is fighty, blame is afraid of stuff. Avoiding, you can kind of see they're all tied in, but avoiding might be like I'm running away, so the flight response. Needy is I don't know what to do, I'm frozen. I need someone to do it for me. Confused is I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna, make you happy and hope you do it instead. And I've been there before too. So the outcome from this pattern is the same old thing that you've always been getting, okay? You're basically anchoring in this is the other thing, this is a cross section here. You are anchoring in your belief, because by the way, you are creating your life, you are creating your reality. Everything that you see in your world is coming from you. I know that sounds like a very difficult concept sometimes to believe, but trust me, I have worked the numbers so many different ways, and based off of the ancient teachings and the modern science, this is more true than not. So we are creating our life, and when the life shows up in ways that we don't really like, then we become embedded in that attitude, that behavior. This is the victim pattern, right? Now, here's the thing. This is unconscious, remember? So on the surface, you might be like, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. I actually have things in my life that I'm joyful about and that are going good. It's just this one area that's just maybe, not everything's perfect. Maybe I'm just not meant to have that one area of my life going well. all right? So that's us tricking ourselves into avoiding our own part in creation. So this is how we are out of sync. Why, I should say, we are out of sync. What's this rooted in? Why did this pattern emerge for us? As I mentioned, you know, we have our programs that we came into and conditions, but we also have our own unresolved core wounds. So what I found was there were these all of these things in our lives essentially were the core challenges that people endure, especially, I mean, look, we endure these things all throughout life, but when they happen in our formative years, right, the years of our foundation for being, from 0 to 7, we're working on our survival and our relationships. From about 7 to 21, we're working on our self-esteem, self-worth, that kind of thing. So if any of these experiences have happened, which I pretty much think that one of these things has happened to every single one of us at least, if not many things have happened to us. But if they happen during the formative years, and I wish I could go deeper into this, I do in another course, but just know that this has a big impact on this pattern that we're talking about, these core wounds, right? Abandonment, this is the interesting thing. Abandonment could be maybe your parents got divorced when you were younger. It could be that maybe they didn't get divorced, but they were never really there for you, right? They never showed up for you. Maybe you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend betray you. Maybe there was violation. I heard that 1 in 3 women are sexually violated. 1 in 3 women. So that means probably many of us here. And this is another, it causes a huge trauma to our life, to our psyche, to our energy, to our physiology, all of it. Deception, rejection, judgment. Someone might have judged us. Someone might have wrongly accused us of something that was unjust, right? Disappointment, you know, has anyone ever, this is also learned. I actually passed this on and later on realized what I was doing. I was taught to use disappointment to motivate my son to get to him to do what I wanted. Why did my son's gonna need a lot of help? Actually, he's doing really great, doesn't he? But, and I've even said to him, I'm so sorry, I'll pay for your therapy. So, disappointment. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you. You could have done better, right? What was I doing? I was passing on shame. Why? Why was I doing that? Because I was taught, right? Why do we do that? It's not our fault. So now you want to ask yourself, how have these patterns affected my life, right? So who here would say self-love and relationships, they can see how these patterns has affected their self-love, relationships, yeah? Health, attitude, right? Personal and professional, right? Thank you for being honest. I know it's vulnerable to say it. So I think that it's important for us to acknowledge that, you know, the things that we want is for freedom from these problems. And the way to get what we want is to really look deep at what we're creating. So essentially, the most important thing to know is that the way to create is through choice. Choice is a powerful tool. And I know it sounds so simple, but choice is the expression, it's a decision, it's the expression of our will. Now, here's the thing, everyone's always making choices, but not everyone's always making them consciously, okay? So we were in conversation a few minutes ago about, before we started, about like the idea that, you know, the decisions that we make are motivated by something. right? So, you know, especially as a parent, I'm familiar with this. Am I motivated by my, you know, unmet needs? Am I motivated to get something that I want? And when I make the choice to, you know, say I'm disappointed, it's coming from like a place that's yucky, right? And it comes with its own karma attached to it. It comes with this like cord of attachment. It's negative, and it weighs us down, and it doesn't do well for our, you know, expansion in life, right? So we have a choice to make. It is our greatest power. So you're here at a choice point, and your life will change in a moment's decision. That's what I want you to know. Your life will change in a moment's decision. And here's the thing. Even if you choose to do the same old thing that you've always been doing, here's what I've learned. You made a choice, but you made it consciously. And when you start to change your like decisions through consciousness, you start to really change that pattern itself. The pattern is its own entity. It's its own thing. It has its own life cycle. It has its own way of showing up for you. So sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing that I've always been doing, like addictions, and I know how hard it is to overcome addictions. And so it is, sometimes it's that impulsive, I'm just going to do this thing, and you don't even think about it until later on when you're regretting it. So at first, it's like, all right, I am intentionally going to do this thing, and I'm going to enjoy it. Here's what I also learned, because when I was eating really healthy, like, I mean, people should have wrote books about how healthy I was eating. I had this awful negative internal dialogue about myself. I was sick. I was really, really sick. So it didn't matter how well I was eating. Sorry, I know, it does matter. It does matter. I don't want anyone to get any wrong ideas. But if you're not in the right headspace,
It wasn't enough.
it's not enough. It blocks you because resistance, right? It causes all this tension and this inner war. We're in conflict with ourselves. So what I learned was, oh, I am going to love this cake. I'm eating this cupcake.
Hey, bring it over. Yes, where is that?
Where is the cake anyway? Is there cake tonight?
It's the cake, she'll eat the whole cake. She doesn't look like it.
I know.
She'll eat a whole cake.
I know, it's my vice. So now I learned, and now you know my secret. You just love it. You just love, I love this cake, and it's so good for me, and my body likes it. Why? I'm not in resistance, and that's the difference. So get out of resistance when you're doing the thing that you probably shouldn't be doing. So here's the third step. Remember, 3 simple steps. The third step here is to rise above that pattern, those subconscious programs. And to do that, we must know ourselves. To know ourselves is, I think Socrates said something that was wise. Like, someone should tell me what that is. I think it's to know ourselves as,
Life is not worth living.
say it again?
The unexamined life is
And not worth living. Thank you. So the oracle at Delphi, which was, I believe, about like the Greek temples. I know that in Egypt, above every temple door is this: know thyself before you enter the temple. Ah. Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. So yeah, we must understand our intentions behind every choice. We have to know that we have something else other than this drive. Remember, I talked about that animal part of our brain and the higher part of our brain, right? And there's also something more to this. It's this, we are, as humans, we are experiencing both the animal nature of our being as well as the spiritual nature of our being. We are both. How can we make the best of both instead of being at odds with ourselves and resisting that even? So to know ourselves is to know our dark and our light. And there is even in the mystery schools, they say there's an old story that comes from the Garden of Eden, and that the first wife of Adam, did anyone know that Adam was married before Eve? Right? Am I the only one that this was a surprise to? Apparently, Adam had a first wife. Her name was Lilith. And Lilith said to God, now this is, of course, our modern day interpretation of it, God, he's boring. He doesn't know himself. He's all light. And so God created Eve to go with Adam and leave the garden so they can experience the life of finding out who you really are in your full power. To go through these challenges, so to show the darkness who you are in the face of it, right? We are not victims of darkness. We are creators of light in it. I want you to really let that anchor into the core of your being. You are much bigger than you know. And this is actually, you know, I thought this was beautiful because it's like when you look here, you see the bigger part of you. We have this higher, we can call it higher consciousness. We know that there's an essence to us. And it doesn't have to be religious. We just have to look at it as how we understand ourselves in a deeper, more meaningful way. Because this is the secret to us being free from the crisis that we are all sharing together. Right? Yeah, your individual stuff, whatever you wrote down, absolutely, that knowing who you are in your power is totally going to help you with that. But that's not why you are here. You're not here to heal brokenness. Well, maybe you are, but for others, to be in service. We are here to show up in our true nature and to express ourselves in that light, to express our true essence, to give ourselves from this place and be of service. Now, the funny thing is it just happens to come back to us. It always fills us up. It just is the nature of it. But we have to acknowledge that there is more to you, more to us than we originally believed in. Because if you knew that you were an infinite being with unlimited power and potential, if you really knew that, then these blocks that we're talking about having wouldn't be there. And so I'm in this boat too, right? I'm still becoming familiar with who this identity, this higher self-identity. There's also a concept that is called Era 3 medicine. Has anyone ever heard of this? Gosh, I wish I remembered the gentleman who wrote it, and I think it was based in like the 60s or 70s. He wrote about this. Era 1 medicine was when we dealt with the physical. So we have chemistry, and we know there's chemicals in the body, and we can fix those chemicals with substances, drugs, medicine, right? Vitamins, food, and we can work on the physical layer of our body. But it doesn't stop there. And then we learned about Era 2 medicine. Era 2 medicine was all about like the epigenetics in the mind and understanding the environment has an impact on our life. And so that added another dimension and another level to it. So Era 3 medicine teaches us that we are literally energetically channeling our higher self into this world. If we let go, think about this for a second. If resistance is blocking everything, it blocks the flow of energy, it blocks the flow of light. It's why we don't have, if we're sick at all, there's a block of energy, like the basics, right? So if our life isn't working the way that we think in flow, then we have to check in, where's that, resistance. But what we want is for our higher mind to come in through us so that we can be fulfilled in this world and give from that place. And that's just a concept that I want you to kind of reflect on. And it's actually said it's like fifth dimensional reality. And we know, like science teaches us, there are 12 dimensions to what we at least are aware of. And they say that our higher self is in another dimension, trying to communicate, trying to express itself through us in this world. So that's the objective, and what we want to do is to activate our potential. The next time that cosmos comes and it triggers you, you have a choice to make. You have a choice to anchor in your creator consciousness. So that's the thing. If the old self was this victim consciousness, the new self is this creator consciousness. How am I going to create? I was just given a whole bunch of lemons. What am I going to create with this? Let me really think about it. So what I've done is reverse engineered the pattern. So what first we're going to do, well, the very first is decide I want to be a creator. That's the choice. That's the choice point. The next is, what are my intentions here? Whatever this challenge is, what do I want? What results do I seek from this opportunity? Then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, how do I want to behave? You know, if the old part of you was fight or flight response, so what can we do differently from that new way of thinking? You know, can we be more mindful? Can we be kind? Can we be honest and truthful with our words? Can we express ourselves differently? The stories we tell ourselves from this place are more empowering stories. I am worthy. I am deserving of having the fulfillment of my desires. There is more than enough. This world is abundant. It is abundant. And so we have to tap in to that abundant resource for our lives. And then what's the feeling that you want to have, that you want to elicit for yourself, right? Do you want to feel elevated with love, with courage, with acceptance, right? And then what do you think about it? Remember, before it was resistance, we blocked it down. So now here's the funny thing that I've learned to do. So anytime I get triggered, now my go-to thought is, especially if it's heavy, like especially if it's a really, really difficult challenge that I'm working through, I'm like, oh, I'm having some major growth right now. This is so big. Oh, great things are coming. I just know it. This sucks. Great things are on their way. That's what this means. Right, Nicole? She knows my language. So that is a way to change that pattern. And so here's the thing about patterns. The more you walk that path, the more embedded it becomes. So just like hiking, when you're on a trail, it's like grass doesn't grow where everybody goes. And so it's the same way. Your old patterns are like deep, like almost trains, you know, gouged their way in there. You know how that is? It's like you're on a track, a one-way track. So it's going to be really hard to get off that track. It's kind of like they say to turn a cruise ship around, it takes about 19 miles because of the momentum it needs to make something that massive do an about face. So give yourself a little slack here. Be patient with this process. Know that it's not perfect and just have fun and experiment with it. It's not about being right. It's about being present and making choices from that present place, right? Does that make sense? Great. So here's the thing I'm going to teach you about the quantum shift. And I actually, what time is it? Are we like,
8:26.
Oh, I really want to show you something so incredibly awesome for this. And I went over, I think. Okay, is everybody okay if I show you something awesome to go over? Yes. Okay, great.
Make it quick.
We're going to make it so quick. We're making it so quick. All right, so what I need is a volunteer. And here's someone who, oh, okay, Alan. Alan is a sport. Thank you. And by the way, come on up. And Nicole's going to get behind me. I asked as part of the thing, she's going to take pictures from behind. And she said, well, I don't want to be like the weird person behind you. So she's going to acknowledge that.
Amazing job, by the way.
Oh,
my goodness.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have pages of notes.
Oh, great. Well, I'm sorry I didn't give you enough paper then.
Oh, no, I like taking my own. So I was
Good.
doodling.
Great. All right, so here's what we're going to do. This is the quantum shift process, and this is actually based off of not only my experience, but when I tell you, like, this is ancient stuff, and I just put a modern twist on it, but this is in the secret lost books of the Bible. The Lost Book of Thomas. I don't know if you know about that book. They discovered it not too long ago, and also the scenes, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and what their ancient teachings say about our secret power for being, master manifestors over our life. Okay, so here's the thing, and like I just showed you that pattern. To change your pattern, you have to reverse engineer it, but. Now let's just say you get triggered. Oh, so you're judgy.
Sometimes.
You're judging. Okay, so I know how you feel. So you feel what when you're judging? What's the feeling in your body?
Frustrated.
Okay, that's good. What else? Where in your body do you feel frustrated? I'm sorry.
I get intense, I think. Usually I'm just mad at myself at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have the desire that in the beginning, I said, okay, let's unpack. I want to know do you have your desire? What's the thing you aspire for?
From today's?
Yeah, from today's talk.
My goal is just to learn as much as I could.
You want to learn, okay, I need a bigger goal.
Bigger goal.
Life, yeah.
I would like to eliminate judgment from my life completely. I set that intention a long time ago.
You did.
And I'm getting better. I've been practicing it.
Okay.
But I want to eliminate
That's a great goal. I want something more aspirational with your life, outside of you. Outside of you. What's that?
Do you mean my dreams?
Yeah, dreams.
I want to inject belief into people so that they will chase something greater than themselves in the service of something greater. Like, for example,
so you want to do what I do?
Basically. I already do, yeah.
Okay, great.
In my own unique
You
way.
already do. In your own, I love that. And you see that in his own unique way. So he's expressing his uniqueness. Okay, so are you familiar? What? You want me to what? You want me to dance?
Yeah, could you
Wait.
guys start dancing?
All right, are you all right? Unfortunately, that's my problem. I'm always trying to lead.
That way.
This way?
No, just
Are you talking to me?
steps up.
Couple steps.
Okay.
Get in the same
I'm trying to learn how to follow, Alan.
Yeah.
All right, so
Well, you're a leader. So
I am. It's a natural thing.
Right.
All right, so are you a righty or a lefty?
Ready.
Okay. So I'm going to have you put your right arm out. Have you ever done this before? Oh, so you're familiar with muscle testing. I'm just going to push your job. Your job is to push up. Perfect, and stay strong. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm feeling his energy, and his energy is strong. All right? So I'm just going to ask questions, and I'm asking your subconscious mind questions. I'm asking your energy questions. Show me a yes. Every time I push on you, I want you to just resist it. Okay?
Resist it every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show me a yes. Show me a no. Okay? Show me a positive. Show me a negative. All right, show me a truth, show me a false. You feel that?
Interesting.
I know, isn't it crazy? Now we're going to have audience participation. All right, so I'm going to have you close your eyes because you're not going to see what's going on here. And
So I try to resist every time. All right.
yes,
Come on,
that's your job. You got it?
Yeah.
So for everybody here, I want you to play along. Keep pushing. Where's your strength? All right, keep your eyes closed. All right, what just happened, Alan?
I was stronger the second time.
Okay, then they'll tell you. What did we just do?
We were sending you positive energy.
Right. They were giving you the universal signal for boo.
Really?
Yes, and your energy was weak. All right, so that just shows us how we're sometimes influenced by external things until we're not. When we're in our power, we're not influenced, okay? So here's the other thing. Think about your goal that you just said to me. You want to say it again.
You want me to say it out loud?
Yeah, say it out loud.
To inject belief in others for their own brighter future so they work toward it.
Okay. Do you feel that weakness?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's standing in the way of your goal is resistance. We just talked about resistance. So I'm going to ask we're going to give it a name. What's the quality of this resistance? It's judgy. It's, what are the others? Blame. Avoid. Confusion. What was the other one? Needy. Okay. Confusion. So that's the one that's the weakest. Confusion is the weakest.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
What does that mean?
So there's.
No, I am so into this. You have no idea.
On cue. On cue.
Right. What do I do about that?
Excellent question. So here's the thing. Everybody has this block that's inside of them, the resistance from stopping them. And here's why. So your energy body, it's protecting. Remember we talked about like the whole protective parts? Well, if there is a part of you in fear and you're like, I want to do this thing, I have this desire, but there's a part of you who knows like, oh, we don't have the energy for that. I'm I'm going to stop you from moving forward from that desire. So I'm going to create resistance known as confusion. Okay. So you don't see what you need to do to attain that goal. And you might be busy, but you're not really getting major traction unless that's released. So are we all clear? So we all have that thing that's blocking us. So we're going to clear it. So that was a perfect question.
So I lack clarity?
Fear.
I don't know. Do you lack clarity?
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure? No. Fear of success. Hey. Thank you. Who's that?
I kind of knew that.
You knew
Can you
that.
ask if it's because he's afraid of being alone?
No. You really want me to ask that question? We don't need to.
No, it's okay. But I do think that's probably something that
Because when
I
you're success, you're at the top and you're alone.
I'm less connected to some people I love, yes.
There you go. All right, so see that story? I can feel your emotion in that story. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Thank you. So what we're going to do is shift the energy so it's available for you to create, but you can still make choice.
Right.
All right, so you still have freedom of choice, but we're just going to release any of the unconscious blocks that stop you from having
Let's
the
do
life
that.
force. Awesome.
For sure.
All right, so here's what the shift looks like. All right, so I'm going to tell you what it is, then I'm going to walk everybody through it, okay? So the shift is an acronym for first we sympathize with, by the way, the part of ourself. Remember how we went through the core wounds? The part of us who was hurt. So the part of ourself who was hurt is the part of us who's holding on to resistance. So it's usually a younger self that's inside of us. So we sympathize with that younger self. It was hurt. Then we're going to have a heartfelt connection. So we go from the head, which is like, I understand, I'm sorry, and into the heart, I feel you. Then we integrate the higher self into our beingness, into this present moment. It's like literally a feeling that you experience in your body. So you see what I just did? Head, heart, body. So critical. These 3 steps are so critical. Then, once we are in our head, heart, and body, then boom, we forgive it. So forgiveness is transformative. It heals. And then once you forgive it, then we're going to express thanks. And here's why. Because gratitude anchors it in as affirmative. It's like, yes, I'm grateful for this. And so it like seals the deal. All right, makes sense?
Absolutely.
So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Everybody can play along with this, and so you can entertain me based on what you know, your challenges, you know your parts and all those wounds and all of that, and how old it is, all that. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Right.
So, and it's okay. If you're not sure of what it is, it doesn't matter. There's a, yeah, be with me. So what I like to do, I hold my hara, which is my power center. I hold my heart because it just reminds me to connect. And it's okay, whatever hand you want to do, whatever naturally fits. So if everyone wants to play along, this is what we can do. We're going to create the shift. So breathe into your body, get it centered into yourself with the breath. Okay. So find that part of yourself who was in resistance, who has the fear of success. Do you see him? How old is he?
I want to say like beginning of high school, 14, 15.
Okay, he's 14, 15 years old. Okay, so you're talking to him. Of course you'll understand, right? I understand. I'm sorry. You can say the words out loud or you can do them in your head. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about what you're going through. I understand why you feel that way. I totally understand why you have that fear. It makes sense. Yeah, I understand. Breathe into your heart. Feel understood. Remember, you are both the receiver and the giver of this information. So you're giving and you're receiving. And then go into your heart. And then what you do is you pull that younger self into your heart. So you merge your heart with his heart. I love you, buddy. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you before. And allow his heart to come into your heart now. And you feel that? Yeah. Good. So there you go. You're in your heart. Very good. You're the receiver and the giver of this love. And now I want you to imagine yourself connected to your higher self, your wiser self. the part of you who wants to be expressed in this world, who wants to feel full in this world, to be seen in this world. Feel that in your body now. Feel the high vibrational energy of that part of yourself now. Feel it integrating the light into your body, into this present moment. That part of you is home in this present moment with your higher self now. You feel that? Great. Okay, so now ask for forgiveness. Forgive me. Forgive me. I didn't know. I didn't know before. I didn't know what you needed before. I didn't hear it before. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Forgive me. Please forgive me. Very good. And I forgive you. I forgive you for holding on all these years. I forgive you. It's okay. And so do you feel that forgiveness all through your body? Yeah, great. That's great. So now express that gratitude and appreciation. Give thanks. Thank that younger part of you for letting go. Thank that younger part of you. Thank you so much for telling me this today. Thank you so much for being present with me and for showing up and being vulnerable. Thank you so much for being willing to let go and being willing to be free to have success, even if it means I might be alone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How's that?
That's good.
Powerful, right?
Yeah.
Put your arm out. Huh? Put your arm out. Okay. What was your dream? What's your desire?
To inject belief in others so they chase their own brighter future.
Yeah. Woo!
Want to come on the podcast?
Yeah, hell yeah. All right. So how was that? Yeah. That's a powerful, very powerful healing process. No. No. I didn't send him energy. I just facilitated his own experience. And so that's the thing. We all have this power within us. And these are the simple steps. So write that down or take a picture or whatever you have to do for these steps. Because the moment you feel triggered and you want to go to that place, that resistance that you're familiar with, play with this. Because there is a part of you who wants to let go, and there's a part of you who wants to be expressed. And that's the key to releasing it. Okay? So I told you I'd give you this framework. We had to unpack to look at what we have, what we desire, to make those blind spots visible, and then rise above, which we just did. We elevated consciousness in that moment. Do you feel lighter, Alan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it feels good, right? So vibrationally speaking, we're elevated. So that's why we rise above. So that's it. You know, when you think about living life to the fullest, I know we've got to go. So we will, I'll just really quickly, you know, I want you to really ask yourself, who am I when I am living my life to the fullest? How do I think? What do I do? What's the impact my life can have when I just release resistance and allow for my truth to shine through? So that's the thing. And you know what? We don't need to go through all these things. There's 4 points before change. Eventually you get to that change point and you have to make a decision. You already know that. So if anyone's interested in learning more, I did leave the information for you. So take that to understand better about all the different ways that I'm working with people. We do have a free a raffle. So here's the thing. One of the things that I do is I actually have a class called Forgive to Live Again. And people here signed up for, you got 2 people signed up early, or I don't remember how it happened. Whatever. She knows the details. But anyway, I'm giving away 2 seats to my upcoming class, which will be in July. It's virtual. And anyway, it goes through healing and clearing stuff. So we have a winner, right? Jackie Leones. Woo! And Mo Daniels. Where's Mo? I love you too. Oh my gosh, are you excited? Okay, you want it? Do you want it? I mean, because you can, if you don't want it, that's okay. I'm not offended. All right, good, because I teach how to be unoffendable in that class, so isn't that great? So anyway, you guys can go to, you have all the information that you need, you know, and it's like if you want to talk more offline, you can go to my website and sign up for a discovery call. I know we don't have time for questions, probably not. I'm happy to be here and answer questions if anyone has any burning desire to go deeper into anything that we talked about today. How was this talk? Was it useful? Was it helpful? And you know what? I appreciate you all because this is my passion to be able to have these experiences. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity. So.